97.3 The Fan.
Hello and welcome to the Skraby Show for February 7th, 2025. Final show of the week. I gotta say, this week has kicked my butt, everybody. It's been a long one. Got some things I had going on at home that required me to do heavy lifting, which, isn't necessarily my strong suit. And I guess, I'm not going to use this as my daily gripe, but my daily gripe, maybe I'll have to do a countdown one day of like the top 5 injuries you've had because you're old type of countdown. Because earlier this week, I was working out. I did some squats, and I think that was on Tuesday. And they're not real squats. I mean, it's at home stuff with the weights that I have. And I got to tell you, my legs hurt. They have hurt since Tuesday. And so either I need to go like less hard on the squats, or I need to just keep doing it until I don't feel like my legs are on fire every time I move. I didn't tell the guys this because I knew they would give me a hard time. But it's been a rough couple days in the soreness department, that is for sure. So there's a little quick preview of the daily gripe. I do actually have a daily gripe, and I was walking around this morning, walking the dogs. It's not about dog walking. It's not about driving. It's about something different. So I have that at the end of the show. Also, we're going to be talking shortly here about Connor Joe, who has been reportedly signed by the Padres. So we'll get to that in just a second. We'll go through some of those non-roster invitees that you may need to know about. And we'll get into some of the NFL awards as well. Josh Allen wins. My former teammate and friend Kevin O'Connell wins Coach of the Year. Josh Allen won MVP. I didn't say that. And then Bill Belichick got roasted, which was kind of hilarious. But Snoop Dogg had a hard time getting that joke out. I wonder how afraid he was to say that, or nervous about saying that. But anyway, I didn't actually watch the show. You guys were here with me yesterday, and you guys all know that I was very upset that the NFL honors were tape delayed. I still can't believe it. I'm over it now. But I did not watch 1 second of the NFL honors when I got home last night, because I think it's ridiculous that you have a live reward show, that everybody's really waiting for the results, and you do it on tape delay so that the West Coast has to start it at 9 p.m. Like, I can't get into it again. It was just so stupid. But I did see the pop-ups, push notifications of who won, so we'll talk about that in just a second as well. But I don't know if anyone out there, how much do people like the rain? Because I find the rain to be very peaceful. I find the rain to be very, I can use it for meditation. I like those little apps that have the rain sound for meditation. But this sort of rain that we got today, or at least the rain that I was going through today, not a fan of. If it's going to rain, why not have it rain? It was just misty all day long. It wasn't that big of a deal. Like, it was just really, really misty. And I don't know. I don't like the mist rain. I like the actual rain. And yes, you have tuned into a sports show, and I am talking about the rain. But I don't like the mist rain. I want it to either pour or nothing at all. Because, Chris said it earlier, and I don't really like when people say this, because we always need the rain, but we do need the rain. It has to. Rod says, the rain is magical, and women love the rain, Skraby. Thank you, Rod. Wink, 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 wink. Dan says, I like the rain. Let's see. Oh, about the injuries. Dominic says, dude, I woke up and my ankle hurt for no reason. Getting injured simply from sleeping is a real old guy benchmark. That is pretty hilarious. It is an old guy benchmark. Just getting out of your bed and feeling like your ankle hurts. I've done that. And I've done that recently. But someone said I needed to stretch. I think really it was because I haven't done like squats in a long time. And so that's why my legs hurt so much. But let's get into the news of the day. If you were at work, you haven't heard yet, the Padres, I'm going to keep saying reportedly because I have not been notified by the Padres that this is actually official. But Connor Joe, utility man, outfielder, infielder type of guy, from Poway High. He's a Powegian. He has been reportedly signed by the San Diego Padres. Now, not the biggest name in the world. Not a name that we're all going to go out and buy tickets because of. But I have seen some of the backlash from this reported move. And I just have to tell everyone, like, the Padres are not going to be bringing in big names. It's just not going to happen. With the way everything, and the only way it would happen in my mind is if they did it in a trade. Because we've seen this offseason, they are not interested in spending, which is bad and not at the same time. Not bad at the same time. Because you still, again, I feel like a broken record, but you still have your core. You're paying them money. But it's a bad thing because you haven't been able to add this entire offseason. And you haven't been able to really add any sort of players that are going to be real impact players. And you've lost some impact players in Jurickson Profar, Ha-Seong Kim. But Connor Joe, I like this signing. He could play multiple positions. He, if you look at his numbers over the years, he had the 2023 season for him was his best year. So I think if we were to maybe expect something from him, I'm not going to expect his best year, but that year he played in 133 games. He had 472 plate appearances. He hit 11 home runs. He was hitting 247 with an OPS of 760. Now, those are pretty average numbers. His OPS plus was 105, so he was slightly above average that year. And those are not eye-popping numbers. But what he can do for you is play multiple positions, come off the bench, and be a veteran hitter. He's been playing since 2019. He's played a total of 438 games, and I remember a few years ago. And again, I'm sorry to this person. It just was who was at bat during the game. But when fans get mad about stuff like this, I don't really know what to tell you, because this is the type of ad that teams need. These are the type of players that teams need, guys that can fill in when needed, and you're not going to have a crazy drop-off for one day. And Connor Joe can be that guy. And so years ago, I remember there was a situation where the Padres were down a run, I believe, and there was a couple guys on base. And they had their bench players were dwindling, and so they had to throw out Taylor Colway to pinch hit in this situation. I think it was 2 years ago this happened. And Taylor Colway did not get on base, ended the game. And I'm not saying this to make fun of Taylor Colway, but I am saying that Connor Joe knows what to expect in Major League at-bats. He is not someone who is seeing Major League pitching for the first time. He's been around at least enough to know what he can and cannot do. He's also been around enough to know the strike zone. He's also been around enough to know that he doesn't, he's not going to be maybe as nervous as someone who hasn't had an at-bat in that situation. Now, is he going to change everything for the Padres? No, he's not. But it really could help them down the road, and down, like, when the Padres, if they're, hopefully, let's knock on wood that they don't get too injured this year, Connor Joe coming off the bench and platooning in left field would be good. It would be a good move. Left field is going to be a tough position for the Padres to fill this season anyway, because, a lot of the free agents are gone. They're off the board. Brandon Drury was signed by the White Sox today. Side note, Steven Wilson, former reliever of the Padres, traded to the White Sox, was DFA'd today. So I don't know if the Padres are going to look into bringing him back or not. But he had some good numbers, Steven Wilson did, with the Padres. He had a really tough year last year, but he played for the White Sox. So got to, I guess, take that with a little bit of a grain of salt. But back to Connor Joe, I do like that Connor Joe is someone that they can rely on. He's not a David Peralta. He's not a Donovan Solano. Those guys had great years last year. But if he could do Let's see, his career average. If he could be his career average of hitting 242, OPS of 728, I think the OPS needs to be a little bit higher. He needs to hit for a little bit more power, maybe some more doubles, because he's not really a home run hitter or anything like that. But if he was able to hit 242 and hit maybe, I don't know, 7 to 12 home runs, because I'm assuming he's not going to get a lot of plate appearances, I think that would be a good season for Connor Joe. I don't mind having Connor Joe on this team. And McKee says Victor Rodriguez will work his magic. This move adds depth. Dan reminds me that they also lost Tanner Scott. That is true. Mailman Rob says, tried delivering mail in the rain, especially today's stupid mist rain. It sucks. I agree with you. Angela says, love the misty rain today. My daughter had a field trip at the zoo and I chaperoned it. It was perfect. Hey, that's not too bad. The zoo is pretty cool, I have to say. But I think mostly, here's Andrew. Bro, Joe is going to have a breakout season this season and will be signed to the Rangers in 2026 for $20 million per year for 3 years. Okay, I didn't read that whole comment through, but I do think that Joe has the possibility, Connor Joe that is, has the possibility of having a better season than he did last year with the Pirates. Hey, he's coming to a situation that's a little bit better in regards to winning. Connor Joe did not do much winning with the Pirates last year. So that is the news. Connor Joe, reportedly a Padre, and I was actually very surprised to see how many Padres fans were upset by this. Like, there was one person on the chat, and I will keep them secret, but they were very upset by this, and they were very upset that the Padres bringing in Connor Joe had us all celebrating, which I don't know that we were celebrating, but I do think that this isn't something that you can just throw away. He's been a good piece for teams over the last few years, and I'm all for it. There's going to need to be more signings. There's probably going to be a trade, but Connor Joe is a good place to start because you needed someone like this. You do. And when you look at the non-roster invitees, actually, I'm going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to talk about some of the non-roster invitees, and I'll give you one guy that one of our favorite reporters is telling us to look out for. So stick with me on the Skraby Show. We'll talk about Padres spring trading. We'll talk about that one player, and then we'll get into some NFL stuff a little bit later. So thanks for joining me here on the Skraby Show. You can watch on YouTube. Just search 97.3 The Fan, and I'll be back shortly.
Need
All right, back here, Odyssey Palace. I just had a little bit of a scary moment. I had to run down to my car real quick to make sure, honestly, if my one window was closed. And I just realized it, like, in the break. Did I close my window? I'm also the guy who goes back to check his door if he locked it a million times. So this is not new for me. But I ran downstairs. Yes, my window was closed. I did everything right. But I got into the elevator, and our elevators are kind of strange. And I knew I had a very limited time with my break happening. I had a very limited time to get down and get back up here and ready. Well, there was almost a situation where you were just going to hear music and then commercials because I got stuck in the elevator. This has happened to me twice in the last week. After FanFest, I was going down one of the Padres elevators, the Petco Park elevators, and I was in like kind of an area that no one was around, so I didn't know if the elevator was in service or not. And it like you needed some sort of access card to get down to the street. And so the doors closed on me at Petco Park. I hit the button, it doesn't let me go anywhere. I hit the button to open the doors don't open. So I'm like, what in the heck is happening here? So I try to hit the street button one more time. It didn't work. It just kept telling me I needed an access card to go to the street level. And then I tried to peel open the doors. I couldn't get the doors open. So I stood in there for a good 30 seconds just figuring out what I could do. And during that 30 seconds, the doors finally opened. And so I was able to get out of that elevator, but I thought I was stuck forever. It was very scary. And then tonight, another scary moment, but even scarier. So back maybe 4 years ago, we had like a different security system and you needed a different key card to get in here. It was like an older system. But I didn't realize years ago that if you messed up the key card 3 times, it shuts down the elevator. Literally turns off the lights, turns off the power, and then everything comes back on 30 seconds later. So that hasn't happened in years until now. And so I was coming back up. I get to, I think it was the 4th floor. For some reason, it stopped me. Doors didn't open. And I'm starting to panic. I didn't even have my cell phone with me because I left it right next to on my notebook. So there was going to be zero way for me to communicate with people. And this was really scary. And I stood there and I hit the open button. I used my key card again. Everything was working, but I was stuck in the elevator. And then thankfully my prayers above were answered because someone hit the elevator on the 1st floor. I had to go all the way back down to the 1st floor and then go all the way back up to the 6th floor. But I made it. Don't know how I made it in 6 minutes, but I made it. Ugh. I hated that feeling of thinking that I was stuck in the elevator forever. Ugh. Dan says, I never take elevators. Jacob says, yeah, stairs or escalators only. Byron says, if it's less than 5 flights, take the stairs. I do take the stairs, but I just didn't have time to take the stairs today. Dominic says, SD Fat Loss would have wanted you to take the stairs. Yes, they would. Anyway, I'm glad I'm back with everybody here. Whew, that was scary. Another news item. We've been talking about beaver nuggets for about a week and a half now, mainly because Sam Levitt told me, or Frank Marchese told me about this, like, rest stop gas station mall thing in Texas called Buc-ee's, and it has beaver nuggets. So I ordered them last week. They took forever to get to me, but they did get to me today. They just didn't get to me before I left my house today. So hopefully Monday or Tuesday next week, we're going to be trying beaver nuggies. And I'm not going to do it with Sam because Sam's going to be heading out to spring training. So we don't really need to wait for him or anything like that. We're going to do this live on the air. Okay. What was I going to, oh yes, spring, see, getting stuck in the elevator has completely ruined what I was going to do here, but I remember now, and I will move forward with my life, hopefully. But non-roster invitees, for the Padres. There's a bunch of them. I'm not going to name all of them, but I am going to name some of them that I think we should know about. And then I'll tell you that one player that our friend Kyle Glazer told us to kind of look out for. But in the pitching department, you have Luis Patino, former Padre face from back in the day. Logan Gillespie is also a non-roster invitee. Catchers, you have Martin Maldonado, Ethan Salas. Those two guys are going to be non-roster invitees. Infield, you got Mike Brousseau, who, again, Tony is very excited about just because he could be a good depth piece. Leodalis DeVries is going to be a non-roster invitee. And then someone we were familiar with from last year, Mason McCoy, is going to be a non-roster invitee. Now, here are the outfielders, or the one outfielder, I guess, that we should be looking out for. It's Jonathan Perlaza. Kyle Glazer tweeted, "Keep an eye on outfielder Jonathan Perlaza. The former Cubs prospect impressed a lot of scouts playing in Korea last year. Many teams wanted to sign him to a minor league deal and were disappointed they missed out when he signed with the Padres. So keep an eye on Jonathan Perlaza. Maybe that's some sort of left fielder. Maybe he's going to come out of nowhere and be an amazing left fielder. I know that's not likely, and I know that this isn't also going to move any needles, but these players do need to be a part of the Padres system. It has to happen. It has to be a part of the Padres system. And I don't expect most of these guys to make the team outright, but you can make a good argument that Mike Brousseau could make the team outright. You could make an argument. He's really the only one I see. I guess maybe Martin Maldonado, but they also have another catcher. They have Elias Diaz, and they have Camposano and Brett Sullivan, so I'm not sure if he will be invited to the main roster, but I'm thinking Mike Brousseau might be the only one that we see suiting up with the Padres on opening day from this list right here. So, I mean, we're getting real. Things are getting real with this whole baseball 2025 thing. They're getting closer, and we're going to be going to spring training here in about a month and a half. Tony's going to be going to spring training here, I think, next week. So it's all getting very serious, and I am really, really looking forward to talking about actual baseball instead of just fake baseball, which I've been talking about for the last 3 months. Let's see. Padres catchers, relics. Hey, I think Elias Diaz is gonna be okay. He was an all-star. Yeah, no one really has any thoughts about that, which is fine. Because I don't know why you would have thoughts about this. These are just guys that are possibly going to make the roster. We never know. But again, Jonathan Perlaza is going to be a guy who I think, or Kyle Glazer thinks that we should watch out for here in spring training. Now, that's pretty much it on the Padres front. There's also we talked about Steven Wilson being DFA'd, so maybe something there. Connor Joe reportedly signing with the Padres. So that's all that we got on the Padres for now, which is a lot more than we had all week long, the last 2 weeks. So at least there's some sort of movement towards this year that we can see. And again, I keep getting people that tell me that I'm being complacent with mediocre players. And I am not being complacent with mediocre players. These are players that need to be on this team. If I was on here saying that the team was going to go to the World Series for because of Connor Joe, then I probably wouldn't have a job, and I would be really stupid for saying that, because he himself alone is not going to take the Padres to the World Series, but he can definitely help with the World Series. So there you go. That is your Padres roster update for now. MLB.com, I don't know if people visit the website during the off season, but MLB.com has some really strange they have some really strange articles that they put out, and they do analyses, I guess you could say, for different stats that we never really think about. And so they put one out this morning that's about wind effect. And they went through all the ballparks over the last couple years, and they looked to see which park is the worst for wind. And the Chicago or the Chicago Cubs have a park that is pretty. It's actually, it depends on what time of the year that you're hitting in, but the Cubs have the most balls that are moved by 25 feet or more by wind in all of baseball. So how they explained this was they were showing clips that a ball will go up in Wrigley Field, it will hit the wind, it will go above the stadium a little bit, and then sometimes that ball can move over 25 to 30, maybe even they say 50 feet at certain times. So they are the park with the most movement on the ball due to the wind. With the Red Sox, Fenway is second. Then you have the Mets. They do gain some, but they're the third in regards to like losing feet due to the wind. They're third. And if you're looking for the Padres are second to last in balls being moved by the wind, 25 feet or more, which I guess we all know anyway because there's not much wind here at Petco Park. But they were looking at some of the hits that were most affected by the wind in the last couple years. And in 2023, there was a ball that Patrick Wisdom hit 103.1 miles an hour, and it was a really windy day, and it went all the way up in the air. He thought it was actually going to be something where he was going to be able to, drop in and get a double. He lost 111 feet of distance because of this wind. So he hits this ball 103.1 miles an hour into center field, which should have gone over the center fielder's head. But the wind was so strong that it knocked it down. It robbed him 111 feet. The other biggest non-home runs in 2023, Kike Hernandez, when he played for the Red Sox, he lost 82 feet in a game. So I'm watching the clip right now, and he hits this ball so high towards the Green Monster. And I guess the wind at the time was gusting in 27 miles an hour. So this moonshot that he hits out there is stopped by the wind at the wall, and he is robbed. Patrick Wisdom, another one, he hit one down the left field corner, and the wind was blowing so hard in. He hit this one 111 miles an hour off his bat, and he lost 62 feet. So it was a no-doubter on pretty much every other day of the season. And they were down 1-0 in the bottom of the eighth for this, but he was robbed by the wind. Some of the other, Shohei Ohtani had one robbed, but I don't really care about that. Juan Soto in 2023 when he was playing with the Padres had one robbed at Citi Field in New York where he's playing now, minus 53 feet. So here's the fun part of this is the biggest wind-aided homers in baseball over the last couple years. And Tommy Pham has the number one wind-aided home run in baseball in the last couple years. On June 4th, 2023, when he was a Met, he hit one 106.3 off the bat, but the wind was behind it at 29 miles an hour. He got an extra 56 feet out of this. Max Muncy, April 21st, 2023, at Wrigley Field. It was a routine fly ball, but then kept carrying. He got 45 extra feet from it. Brandon Belt in 2023, 38 extra feet. So you can kind of see how much these players are being helped by the wind. Basically, Padres play on the West Coast. Padres play in San Diego where there's not a lot of wind. And so they don't see a lot of wind-aided home runs. But we do see a lot of balls that die at the warning track for some reason at Petco Park. Not sure why Petco Park, it seems like, I'm going to say seems because I'm not going to be able to prove it, but it seems like the Padres sometimes have warning track power when the other team's hitting home runs, but Petco Park is not a place to be messed with. So that was the wind article. If you want to see this whole wind article, they go into very, very deep detail on this wind article. Just go to MLB.com and it'll say StatCast analysis of wind impact. I thought it was pretty fun to read this whole thing. I really didn't know how much wind affects the ball, but Chicago Cubs, you can get the worst of it by moving it inside Or, sorry, you can get the worst of it by the wind blowing in, or you can get the best of it with the wind blowing out. So I guess Wrigley Field is a good place for people to set up shop and try to hit a bunch of home runs. All right, let's talk about the Super Bowl when we get back. There is one coach who's chasing his 5th Super Bowl ring, and no one's really sure if he's going to make the Hall of Fame. And I'm going to tell you why when we get back on 97.3 The Fan. it to the end of the week. Last segment of the Skraby Show for this week. Hope everybody has good plans for the weekend. I still am not sure what I'm going to do for the Super Bowl. I think I'm probably just going to end up watching it by myself, which if you were listening last night, I actually really do want to watch it by myself. I think it's better. I don't know. I get like going over to a friend's house and having a party and all that stuff, but then I don't really feel like I'm able to actually watch the game. I'm actually just socializing at that point, and I want to actually watch the game. So hopefully you all have plans out there for your Super Bowl that you actually want to, do. If it's going to someone's house and watching the game and socializing, so be it. If it's sitting in your room by yourself with your dog and your dog's named Lucky, so be it. That's how I'm going to make it okay in my head. That I'm going to be alone on Super Bowl Sunday. I probably will. I'll probably end up going to a friend's house at the last second or something like that. I'm not really looking forward to I don't know, I don't feel like the Super Bowl, and I feel like this is happening every single year, and it's getting less and less important to me, and it seems like it's getting less and less important to the media out there, but the whole Radio Row thing, the whole lead up to the Super Bowl, it just isn't the same. Maybe when I was a kid it was better, but now I don't really, even when my team was in it last year, I just wanted the game to happen. I didn't care about anything that led up to it. I don't care about Radio Row. I've been to a couple of Radio Rows, and Radio Rows are fun, but it's also very stressful for people working Radio Rows. I think that the Super Bowl, and they also charge a ton for radio stations to go and broadcast from the Super Bowl. Now, if you're a city or a radio station that has the rights to an NFL team, then obviously the Super Bowl is good. But we don't have that anymore, so it doesn't really need to. We don't really need to go there anymore here in San Diego. We could just enjoy the game from afar. I'm fine with that. Trevor says Wildcard Weekend is the pinnacle. Maybe. I don't know about Super Wildcard Weekend was, but they don't do Super Wildcard Weekend anymore. Reckoner says, I have that problem during big UFC fights. We usually play poker at my place, and I always pause our poker game for the final 3 fights because I want to focus. See? You're a serious watcher of your UFC fights. If it had been Buffalo versus Detroit, it'd be a lot more exciting because you'd be talking to a different set of players leading up to the game. I don't necessarily know that. Josh Allen wins MVP last night. I don't know that he deserved the MVP. And as you heard Zach Gelb here before starting back the segment, he was saying that if you look at the stats, Lamar's stats are way better, but he also had Derrick Henry. I get that Josh Allen. I guess I'm not mad at him winning MVP because I like Josh Allen. I think he's a good quarterback. He's a really good quarterback. He received a touchdown and threw a touchdown against my team this year in the snow. So he does everything for his team, but I think Lamar Jackson does everything too. And saying that you have Derrick Henry. Well, James Cook is really good too. The Bills have a really good running back. Just because his name isn't Derrick Henry doesn't mean that, he's any less good than Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's great. James Cook is really good too. Really good too. Skraby is the Chris Pratt of radio. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. You let me know. Katrina says she's sitting with her 5-year-old niece, Kai. She's waving at you now. Oh, well, hello. Well, hello, Kai. Thank you for watching, Kai. And Katrina. Thanks to everybody who's watching. Rod said Lamar got robbed. It's pretty crazy, though. If Lamar was to win, that would have been his 3rd MVP. I mean, we're talking about a Hall of Famer if he wins a 3rd MVP in the short amount of time that he's done it. And talking about the Hall of Fame, Antonio Gates gets in. Everybody knows that. We talked about that earlier. I don't want to spend too much time on that. But I saw this Yahoo Sports article earlier today. And it had a really interesting question that was posed in it. And with the Hall of Fame announced last night, we saw Eli Manning not get in on first ballot, which I think is totally fair. I think that's okay. I don't have a problem with Eli Manning not getting in on the first ballot. He's going to get in at some point. Does not need to be first ballot. First ballot is for players that are so legendary that you're a household name at some point during your career. That's, in my opinion, what a first ballot Hall of Famer is. And Eli Manning may have beat the Patriots twice, but Chris brought it up earlier. He's got a 500 regular season record. And that's not Hall of Fame to me. Just because you got lucky in the playoffs twice, I mean, you got really lucky. And I guess there's some skill involved. I'm not going to take it away from him, but I don't think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. But the article was all about a Hall of Fame assistant coach. And the reason I'm saying assistant coach is because Spags, or Steve Spagnuolo, with the Chiefs, he is chasing his 5th ring as an assistant coach. And he already has 4, which is more than anybody in NFL history. But as an assistant coach, nobody has ever made the Hall of Fame primarily for their work as an assistant coach. So if he wins 5 Super Bowls, and even if they don't win this one, I assume that he'll get back to another one because the Chiefs always do. But can you put an assistant coach in the Hall of Fame? I don't know. I've been thinking about this one all day, and I go back and forth on it all day. Like, it's great and everything that he has been with this team, and he's been the defensive leader every single year throughout this run, basically. I guess he's gone for the 3rd Super Bowl ring, so he's been there for the past 2 years already. And then when they won Super Bowls, he says he doesn't really care about it, which is the good answer, which is what the answer everybody would give. But I don't know if you could put an assistant coach in the Hall of Fame, because at that point, I mean, he was a head coach in his career. He coached the Rams. He did not do well under the Rams. I don't think he really had the greatest players in the world, but I'm not sure. If you're a head coach, yes, you go in the Hall of Fame. But being an assistant coach, I think, diminishes that just a little bit, because you are not focusing on what you need to be focusing on if you're a head coach. If you're an assistant coach, you can focus on defense, and that's it. Head coach, you're focused on everything. Every decision is everything. You have to make that decision as a head coach. Every decision. How many more times can I say every in the next 30 seconds? Steve Spagnuolo had 3 years with the Rams, St. Louis Rams. 09, 10, and 11. He went 1-15, 7-9, and 2-14. So in his head coaching career, he is 11-41. In his assistant coaching career, he is not 11-41. He's won 2 Super Bowls, or 3 Super Bowls, I believe. Is it 3? I'm starting to lose track of how many he's won because I'm looking at these things. But he is going for his 5th. Does 5 Super Bowls as an assistant coach mean he should be in the Hall of Fame? I think I need more time to think about it, but my answer for right now is no. So I'm going to have to bring this up next week. But if you have anything, if you have an opinion on this, please let me know in the chat at Matt, or search 97.3 The Fan on YouTube. You can also go to @MattSkraby. But the article says that he should be in. And I don't really disagree. If he wins like 6 or 7 and he did it with the same team, then I'm okay with that. Like Chris Jones said, why wouldn't he be in the Hall of Fame? He's done, I'm trying to get the quote exactly. We didn't start winning, getting over that hump until Spags got here. I have so much respect for Spags and his body of work and how much he put into the game. That's my guy. I hope he gets in the Hall of Fame. And because the first assistant coach to make it. Just because, I keep having arguments back and forth in my head. Just because you started winning when he got there doesn't mean he's a Hall of Famer. He has 11-41 head coaching record. I'm not sure that that's it. Broadcasters get in, but yeah, they're judged by a little bit of a different thing. Let's see. Wade Phillips was an incredible defensive coordinator, but allows the head coach Norv Turner. I don't know what that. Norv Turner was an amazing offensive coordinator, but a lousy. That's what they're saying. A lousy head coach. Yeah, doesn't mean Norv Turner's getting into the Hall of Fame. Like, there are coaches out there that probably deserve to go in before Spags. I don't hate Spags, actually. I think he is kind of fun. I like that he has that. Everybody has these huge, like, cards with the plays on it, like massive cards that are laminated. He has, like, this little thing that he holds, which I always am impressed by, because that means he knows all the play calls off the top of his head. And he doesn't really need fluff in there. He knows exactly what he wanted to do. How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? I don't know. I'm not sure. But I'm glad I spent some time on that question, because everybody was listening for that.
What's annoying Skraby today? Let's find out. It's time for the Daily Gripe.
All right, so I have 2 daily gripes today. 3. Getting stuck in the elevator during my show is one of them. That happened in the first break, but it's not going to be the official daily gripe today. The secondary daily gripe is something I've already said before. But last night, I stubbed my toe pretty good. It was one of those two where it wasn't like the big toe. It's one of those things where I was like turning a corner in the dark, and I caught my like little pinky toe and almost ripped it off. And it really hurts. And so when I was walking today, my toe is killing me because I almost ripped it off. I almost did. Let's see. So that was, I guess, Daily Gripe B. Daily Gripe A is this. I don't think I've ever said this before. Daily Gripe A is something I saw on my walk today with the dogs. And it's trash day in the neighborhood, so lots of trash cans out. But here is the Daily Gripe. The furniture that is put on the corner that says free on it, how long do we get with that on the street? Because there's been a cabinet set outside of this one dude's house for almost a week now, if not a week at this point. And it's been sitting in the rain, and it still has the free sign on it. That's my daily gripe. I am, like, angry. This thing is ugly. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. It's one of those beat up pieces of furniture that no one wants to take to the dump. So they put it on the street and they put free on it. If no one takes that in 24 hours, I think it's your responsibility to get that off the street. Because now it's been sitting in the rain. It's just been blocking driveway. Just not cool. Not cool at all. Byron says, good gripe. Call the police. I will call the police. No, I actually won't call the police. But I've been looking at this thing all week. Not sure why it didn't pop in my head to do a daily gripe about it until today, but it did. So that's my daily gripe to finish the week. Furniture put on the corner that says free, that just sits there and sits there and sits there. All right, that's it for me this week. Thank you so much to everybody who joined us this week. We got a little bit of Padres news there at the end. Reportedly, Connor Joe is signing with the Padres, and they released their non-roster invitee list. So all of that is on social media. You can also go watch the YouTube show if you're just catching it and want to see what we talked about a little bit earlier. Just search 97.3 The Fan. You'll find in the live section, you'll find the recorded show of today. So hope everyone enjoys their Super Bowl. Hope everyone is safe. Hope everyone joins me Monday. I think we're going to be trying some beaver nuggies on Monday if I'm able to remember. So maybe that's something we'll do. We'll also obviously talk about the Super Bowl and see if the Padres do anything else. So thanks everybody again for joining us. Talk to you soon. Out for 97.3 The Fan.